talk about the hottest topic of town, the most awaited decision of the year, Budget 2025.
आज भारत की विकास यात्रा का एक महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव है।
I present the budget for 25-26. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
So if you have a salary, you may be paying less tax. But the important question is, what happens if you don't have a salary?
Budget 2025 so beautifully customized for middle class family of this country. How will India get benefit from reducing tax? They want to increase the purchasing power of the middle class people. That means they'll have more purchasing power, consumption will increase, business will boost. Hello and welcome everyone. This is your host and host, founder and CEO Rebate, Neha, and welcome to another special episode of Explore with Neha. Today, let's talk about the hottest topic of town, the most awaited decision of the year, Budget 2025.
I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
Economists now believe it is time to bring income tax cuts for the middle class into the mix.
The slab changes that have been done today acknowledge the impact of inflation on the pocket of the middle class, and it's been changed.
Well, let me tell you, Budget 2025 so beautifully customized for middle class family of this country. We also going to talk about why market is doing so bad, what government is exactly going to do about it, and how exactly we are taking this response to fix the market, which can actually benefit for this country. And the most important question, how changes in tax slab is going to impact in terms of paying less taxes. You know, we'll also talk about what are those impressive sector where you can invest your money and take a good return in return of investing that amount. You know, before we go further in detail, let me break it down and make it very simple for you. What is a budget, right? What is our common understanding of budget, which we never understood, maybe those boring economics book? Well, in a very simple language, budget is a story of how middle class family operate their money. There are 6 areas to focus in the budget. The first one is power, then there is mining, taxation, urban development, regulation, taxation. All of these 6 sectors plays a very, very important role in understanding the whole budget sector of area. Now, before I go further, let me introduce you to the different tax slab, as you can see on the screen, which will give you an understanding of what is the percentile of this tax on our earning. So if you're a person who's earning somewhere between 0 to 4 lakh, you pay nil. That is a 0% tax on that particular income. If you're someone who's earning between 4 lakh to 8 lakh, your percentage of tax on the total income is going to be 5% of it. If you are a person who's earning 8 lakh to 12 lakh INR, so your whole total taxation is going to be around 10%. Similarly, if you increase your income from 12 lakh and it goes up to 16 lakh, then your whole taxation amount on it is going to be around 20%. And if you go 20 to 24%, then it's going to be somewhere around 25%. And for the people who are earning more than 25 lakh or 24 lakh rupees, the taxation amount on it is going to be 30% of your total net income. So this is how the whole tax slab has been divided. For the people who are still very confused about the whole process, you can go check out on income tax website and you'll have a complete detailed information related to it. So now we are very clear in terms of how much of earning leads to what kind of percentage of tax on your total income. So we can actually deep dive into the budget of 2025. So what does this tax slab mean, right? What exactly this percentile mean? What does it mean that we are taxing, let's say 5% on your total net income? Actually, in the new tax regime through the rebates, so there is a whole process that if your normal income, so when I say a normal income, that means your total salary, or if you're a business who's earning within 12 lakh, your whole income tax on it through the rebate process will automatically come to zero. But that is only will be applicable for the new tax regime, not for the older one. And in fact, government is pushing people to actually to come and be familiarized with the new tax regime processes than the old one. Now, before we go and understand how the process is happening, we need to understand what exactly this word rebate means. Let's go into the very simple layman term. There is a person called Mohan. Now Mohan's salary, total salary is 12 lakh rupees, right? Now if we go onto the tax slab, which I have just mentioned, and as you can see on the screen, so Mohan for the 0 to 4 lakh rupees is not going to pay any kind of tax to the government, so that is going to be 0. Then for 4 to 8 lakh of rupees, Mohan is going to pay 5% of that total 12 lakh total income which he is getting in his account. Then if Mohan goes on to the 8 lakh slab to 12 lakh slab rupees, then Mohan is going to pay 20% income tax on his. That is going to come in total of 40,000 rupees. So 20 above and 40 below. So total tax on his net salary is going to be 60,000 rupees. But because of rebate, he is going to get, because of the rebate process into the new tax regime process, he is going to get rebate of 60,000 rupees. Hence, his total tax application will come down to 0. So that's how the whole rebate process happen, and that is going to play a very, very important role in the whole process. You know, India has two kind of tax regime. As I mentioned, there was one old regime, there is one new regime. In the old tax regime, people used to have a lot of deduction in terms of their expenses or different incomes of the salary to reduce down their total income, and then the total tax used to be applicable. But in the new regime processes, there is not going to be deduction on any of your expenses, which means you are not allowed to reduce your salary. But in return, the tax, if you are earning up to 12 lakh rupees, is going to come down to 0. So that plays a very, very important role in this whole process. You know, from the current announcement, these are the slabs which I have just mentioned, from 0 rupees to INR 12 lakh rupees of income, that Nirmala ji has clearly mentioned that up to 12 lakh rupees, there will be no tax application of any of those people.
I'm now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
हमारी इकोनॉमी को एक्सेलरेट करने वाला ये बजट,
ये हर भारतीय के सपनों को पूरा करने वाला बजट,
विकसित भारत की सोच को मजबूती देने वाला ये बजट.
Now, I have just explained you how does the rebate work, but what happens? So what happens is when you file a income tax return, that return will actually decide your total tax amount. But when it's come to the payable amount, so what exactly happen, if you are a person whose income is below 12 lakh rupees, it automatically goes to 0. This is for the regular income only. There is nothing related to it is not applicable if you have any other kind of capital gain. This is just purely based out on the salary. So rebate means it's kind of discount, or you can say a kind of cashback which you receive if you're a person who's earning up to 12 lakh rupees. And if you're someone who's earning more than 12 lakh rupees, let's say your salary comes into the section of you are getting 30 lakh rupees or 14 lakh rupees, your total net income, then your whole taxation process will lie into the slab, which I have just explained, and as you can see on the screen. Now, the main important question is, how will India get benefit from reducing tax? Right, it's the most important question. You know, in the beginning of the budget, our finance minister said that they want to increase the purchasing power of the middle class people. So what does that mean? That means middle class will have more disposable amount into their hand. That means they'll have more purchasing power, consumption will increase, business will boost. Hence, it will create a overall very positive impact on our GDP. You need to understand, India is a bright, shining diamond in terms of economic country on the world map. So it is a very important step in the history of economic growth, and government is paying very very much focus on this in case, we have to maintain the GDP, we have to do an economic growth. It is very important that we consider the people who are earning up to 12 lakh rupees. They should not fall into any percentile of this particular tax slab process. Let's make it more simple. Now we've understood about rebate. Now we have little bit of understanding about how exactly the new regime tax slab system will work. When we talk about budget, we focus on three main things. The first one, how India is going to spend, what are the earnings of India, and the third most important part is what are our priorities, because that is very, very important. When we talk about budget, we focus on three main things, that is people, economy and innovation. Coming on to the budget, there are three types of budget process. Number one, when our income is much higher than our expenses, right? Let me repeat it again. When we say when our income is much higher than our expenses, we call it a surplus budget. When our income becomes equal to our expenses, we call it a balanced budget. On the contrary, when our expenses become much higher than our income, then we call it a deficit budget. Now, when we talk about these three categories of budget, we need to understand what are the sectors, what are the investment area which we can focus on, which can actually make sure we don't go into the deficit budget portion. Our finance minister mentioned that agriculture is one of the biggest growth of our country, biggest engine of our growth. We have currently 1.7 crores farmer in India, and during this whole budgeting process 100 districts were identified. These districts are the districts which were very underproductive. They did not have any much resources to work on. So that is why during this budget we focused on crop diversification and crop storage. What does that mean? That means it will give our farmers an option, in terms of migration from villages to city. It's always going to be an option. It should be an option. It should not be any kind of necessity. Another main engine of growth is going to be MSME, that is small and medium enterprises. And with time, it is our constant practices, it's our constant effort that these MSME should take the total cap of market and should increase from 15% to 25%. And if we want to increase the contribution of these MSME, we need more skilled labor into the manufacturing domain. That is where the sector of skill plays a very, very important role. And to solve this problem, to make sure we have more skilled labor as compared to unskilled people who can actually directly contribute to the manufacturing sector, directly contribute to the growth of these MSME. 5 national level skill center has been planned, and they're going to be providing that kind of opportunity to our labor, which can actually help them learn new skills, go and participate and create more MSME and create more opportunity for the people. In our budget, another main and very important factor is government has set as a 10,000 crore rupees just for the Indian startup, to make sure Indian startup ecosystem is booming. And also there has been special kind of loans which government is going to provide for the first time women entrepreneur. That is brilliant, that is amazing. Now talking about skilling and education, because our company, we work around the skilling area, and it has always been a dream to bridge the gap between academic standard and the industrial requirement. It gives me an immense happiness, when I found out that government is actually setting up 50,000 Atal Tinkering Lab in all the government and state schools across India, pan India, which is going to give our kids a platform to learn, to develop and to become part of our innovation economy. Another major sector which our budget is focusing on, that again plays a very, very important role in terms of how exactly the growth of Indian economy is going to happen, that is the nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is going to be the goal for the clean energy, because there is no net zero if we don't have the nuclear energy. So the plan is by the year 2033 we going to need at least 5 to 10 self-sustainable, self-developed nuclear energy center, which again is going to get us one step close to the net zero energy loss goals. Another few of the domain which government has paid attention to, I mean these are in very details. If you want to know and learn about it more, you can again directly go and check their website. There's a whole process written around it, how exactly is going to happen. So two of the thing, the first one is in regards to senior citizen, because senior citizen attracts a TDS which was TDS interest of around 50,000 rupees, which has been increased to 1 lakh rupees now. Rental payment on our home TDS has been enhanced from 2.4 lakh rupees to 6 lakh rupees. Another major improvement which has been done, which is really great, up till now only one property used to be considered, one property where a person is actually staying, it's a person home, it's a self-occupied property, used to be considered only as a place where the person is staying. But from now on, a person can actually register two homes as a self-occupied property under their name. So it's basically the whole process is around increasing the net annual income. We can search more about it on the Google. Because of the lack of the time, we won't be going much deeper dive in. We won't deep dive into it. By all of these amazing thing, but we have to think that if we are reducing the income tax, what does that mean? There's going to be another side. I mean, I won't say it's a problematic side, but yes, it is kind of it is going to create a problem in the longer run. Reducing tax means reducing revenue of Indian whole total government revenue which India was getting, and there's going to be a loss of around 1 lakh crore rupees. So what we can do? What we can do to fill this gap, to make sure that we are not going into the deficit economy. One of the important solution which I could think of, I mean there could be many, which government can do, especially which RBI can do, is setting up of a sovereign wealth fund. The whole wealth fund is set up just for the sole purpose of earning good investment, good return back for the sake of the country. So it actually acts like, just to give you a small understanding, it acts like, the sovereign wealth fund acts like a mutual fund where government is the owner and government is the investor, and their sole focus is how to get more and more return on the investment they have done. One example of world's biggest and leading sovereign fund is Norway Sovereign Wealth Fund. They have invested in, I think, 1.5% of total world's biggest organization. They are in Tokyo, they are in Japan, US, London. They have invested in many real estate worldwide. As of November 2024, their wealth fund came close to a total worth of $1.74 trillion. That's a lot. And you know what exactly they do? Every year they take out 4% of their invested amount from this wealth fund, so that they don't have to take loans to run their country. Hence the interest payment will be less, and they don't have to operate into the deficit processes. Now the same thing can be done by Indian government, which I think is going to play a very, very important role, the whole wealth management process. This could be a great idea for the Indian government. If we invest, let's imagine if some part of the whole revenue which the government is collecting, we invest some part of it in ISRO, or maybe we start buying defense equipment from Indian manufacturing company. Imagine what kind of big impact it will create. We are doing 40 to 50% of our operation in India just by taking loans. How sad is that? That is why every year when the budget happens, the focus on interest payment plays a very, very important role, because these interest payments are so high. So that is why it is very important that we sit together and we understand again the proper utilization of these funds and investing it back, maybe through a sovereign wealth fund or some other kind of investment, so which will make sure we don't have to be dependent too much on the loan borrowing. Now another part which people were focused on was that was related to the development of the Bihar stage. Initially, people were even confused that it is a Bihar ka budget or it is a country budget.
Was this a budget to the government of India or was this a budget to the government of Bihar?
ड्रीम बजट कहा जा सकता है.
You know, I mean, it's good. I don't have any problem with it. Bihar state is going to get developed and all that. But if we're going to utilize this money for building those broken bridges and roads in Bihar, it's going to be a wastage of people's money. So corruption has to be under control, and we have to make sure that we utilize the budget in a very formal and equal way. Another main important factor which I would like to point out is when I spoke about MSME, you know, I remember seeing, because I talked about agriculture playing a very important role, agriculture acting as an engine of growth for the Indian economy, is makhana. Yes, makhana is very, shadowed under the whole processes. I was watching one of the startups. I think they were presenting on Shark Tank US, Shark Tank in US show. So that startup used to import all of these makhana. I mean, still that startup exists. All this makhana back to US. They used to flavor it, pack it in a nice packaging, and they are selling it and they are earning millions of dollars out of it. That is why government is also focusing around creating an FPO around the whole makhana, so the development of it will start very, very soon. So all of these changes is going to play a very important role. And as I mentioned, if we are focusing on Bihar state, we have to make sure our focus should go on the right side, and we should not get lost in the whole process of our new budget area. There is one more criticism which is going around and people are actually not happy about it. The 160 crore allocation, budget allocation for Maldives. I mean, come on, it's an hostile country which again keep on coming back and scrutinize the India. Another problem, allocation of 600 crore to Maldives. I mean, for their overall development, Maldives, which keep on again going back to China, to put, for those people who are listening to me and who are saying, yeah, so what? We are maybe, expanding our relation with our native countries. But just to put this in the perspective, what is the budget of AI in education in India, which has been allotted? Only 500 crore rupees. So 500 crore for AI in education budget has been allotted. But we are allocating 600 crore to support the Maldives economy. I'm not going to comment much more in it. You people are smart enough. You have your own thought process behind it. But I do need comment from audience like you. We need more educated audience like you who can ask the right question at right time and make sure we are going on to the right path. We are understanding the whole budget processes. We are understanding the different segment it's going to affect. And I do want your comments on this allocation of only 500 crores for AI in education. And we are giving 160 to Bangladesh and 600 to Maldives. Would that make sense? So please don't forget to subscribe, follow, like and share. So that's all my end. Thank you everyone. Bye.